Sportsline Podcast is in your kitchen, and we are cooking on the CHCH and Parrot Media platform. Certainly appreciate you checking us out. I'm Bubba O'Neil. As I always say, the Golden Horseshoe is a gold medal winner for outstanding athletes, coaches, executives, media members, and sporting events. Today, a high-level basketball player from Stony Creek whose talents took him to an Ivy League school and a high-level media operation in the United States where business was his business. Now he's back at home utilizing his professional skills at McMaster's University as the Director of Athletics and Recreation, Keenan Jeppesen. Thank you so much for joining us on the Sportsline Podcast, partner.
Thanks, Bubba. It's great to see you.
It is great to see you. And as I kind of prefaced you when we first kind of came back here before we went on air, when I really dig into what you've done in your career, which has still got many years left, boy, you've done a lot of stuff. You've done a lot. How do you feel about that?
We were chatting earlier, and I had a bit of a milestone birthday in the summer. And, when you have these milestones, it's an opportunity to kind of sit back and reflect. It's been a great ride so far. Like you said, there's lots more to do, and really excited about what we can do in this role. But I've been really fortunate to have some really great experiences, meet some really great people, and I'm really proud of what I've done to date.
Talk about meeting great people, and before we kind of dig into what you've done in your career and what your plans are, see, you had a little guest in your gym yesterday, which was a little bit of a shocker. Nothing like the MVP and his cousin coming to the Burge Gymnasium.
Yeah, we're grateful to be able to host Shay and Nikhil. Shay's a Hamilton guy, and that is important to us, to be able to be a place for training for Hamilton's greatest athletes. And so, we were grateful to have him. He's not unfamiliar with that gym. Any Hamilton basketball fans will remember him competing in high school championships in that gym. I was happy to host him when I was an assistant coach running summer pickup runs. He's happy to, come back, take that opportunity to train and get ready for his season, and to give back to the community. And that was a really special moment for our guys, and a good opportunity to help them get into season form really early on.
The varsity men's team, did they know about this, or were they surprised by this, or how did that all go down?
Yeah, we kept it a surprise. It came together pretty quickly. We kept it as a bit of a surprise for them, and so they were excited. It was one of the things that were cool for me to see. Talking about having Shay in the gym, many years ago when I was assistant coaching. We're talking 6-7 years ago, and at that time Shay was in the league, but he was early on in his career, and a lot of the guys on our team were really his peer in age, right? So watching them go back and forth with him, and Shay was handling his business, but them feeling comfortable really going at him, and then reflecting, looking at yesterday where this crop of our McMaster athletes are looking at Shay like that special star that he is, and being a little starstruck before they kind of got into their comfort level, and we're like, this is basketball, this is competition. I'm gonna put my best foot forward. So that was a pretty cool moment to see.
An unbelievable, once in a lifetime opportunity for those men. That's something that they will probably never forget, especially the couple of them that maybe dropped a couple shots on them or two.
Yeah, it's something special, but hopefully not once in a lifetime. Like I said, what we want to do is create an environment where our top local athletes feel that we are a place for them to train, and whether that's Shay or Kia Nurse or Sarah Nurse or so many of our Thai Cats utilize our facilities in their off season. That's important for us to be that hub for high performance sport.
Okay. Let's go all the way back here, 2004-ish, early 2000s, Salt Fleet High School.
Okay.
I kind of forgot you were a big man on campus. 6'7", 230 pounds, playing ball. You average like 20 points a game. This is a high school level that we're talking about. When you think about those days, what comes to mind?
Oh, those are the good old days. Carefree, right? You know, like life is a lot simpler, you know, in high school, competing for championships. And, you know, what I loved about my high school experience was basketball was my sport. But I was a 5-sport athlete in high school, and having that diversity and being able to compete in different sports really made my high school experience. Also, the people, some of my best friends to this day are folks that I played with in the high school level, and including my coaches, right? Like, I think one of the things that I love about my role is the ability to support great coaches, and we have many. And part of that love for me started with my high school basketball coaches. Dave Omrod was hugely impactful in my life, and you know, that sparked my love for competitive sport, and really what it means to young athletes in their development, which is really what I'm passionate about. So when you talk, I love talking about those days. Those were the good old days, and winning a high school basketball championship in this city is still one of the things that, like, I cherish the most.
Among that, when you were playing sports, though, it appears to me, now whether that came from your influence from parents or just you yourself, your love for it, there was an academic side to it as well, too, because you then somehow, because, and I say this, it's from Hamilton, you end up at Brown University, Ivy League school. What was that experience like?
Yeah, it was an amazing experience in the end. It was a challenging transition, right? Like, you know, going to an Ivy League school, you know, really into the epicenter of wealth and influence in America was a bit of a culture shock for me. You know, I talk about, I have nephews who are going into post-secondary, and daughter who will go next year, and thinking about that transition and knowing how hard it can be, and remembering calling my mom the first week of school being like, I don't know about this, like, you know, I want to come home. Was
it culture or what was it?
Yeah, you know, it's a different environment being, you know, like a little bit of fish out of water, like being kind of a first generation post-secondary student, not knowing all the things that are expected of you, not knowing that, you know, I'm a few months on campus and I have my peers that are applying for internships, you know, for the next summer that will lead to the internship they get in their between sophomore and junior year, which will lead to the job they get on Wall Street. Not having any of that going in felt overwhelming. But I got through that, having the support, having great teammates at Brown University, and starting to figure that out with the support of you know, friends and family from home and good teammates and coaching, and Brown being a truly transformative experience, right? Really, you know, that was the foundation for me to understand how higher education can be such a transformative experience, be life-changing, and change the direction of an individual's future, but their family's future as well.
Also at that level, in that time of your life, there's a McMaster. You've actually had a couple of comebacks to McMaster, right?
Yeah.
And there's an Athlete of the Year stuff, so you kind of a Canadian angle as well, too, something that you were more comfortable. Can you describe those days for me?
Yeah. I mean, I think you make a really good point when I think about, you know, being in this role and what I can bring to it. I think it's really that diversity of touch points with the university, right? And I'll even take it back earlier than when I was there as a student athlete, but I was there as a fan, right? Like growing up as a young kid, watching the Titus Channers and the Jack Vanderpools and the Ben Chapdelaines and Jesse Lumsdens, and attending basketball camp. So that was my first connection with the university. And then coming back as a student athlete, I did my MBA. I played for the legendary coach Joe Razzo in the first year of my MBA, my fifth year of eligibility, and had a really incredible experience. It was a really demanding year, both academically and athletically, and I think part of that requirement to really lock in, I had some of the most success personally as OUA Player of the Year, led to an All-Canadian, first-team All-Canadian award, and then I was fortunate to be the Ivor Wynne McMaster Athlete of the Year. and then coming back to coach as an assistant coach, right? Going on to have a almost 10-year start to my professional career in the U.S., returning home, looking for something a little bit more fulfilling, and leading to me to coaching for 2 seasons, and really getting to work closely with student athletes, which kind of gave me some direction to where I wanted to take my career, and that led to this wanting to have a broader impact on student athletes and students in general, and really led me down the path of administration, where in coaching you get to have a really deep and meaningful impact on a group of 12 or maybe 100 if you're coaching in football. Administration allowed that at scale. So now I support over 1,200 student athletes on the varsity side, but on the recreation side, get to support an entire community, 30,000 McMaster community, and the Hamilton community, which is a really exciting part of the newest role.
It's amazing what the reach this job and this position and just McMaster in general as a facility and a faculty it is part of the community. You just think, oh, it's where students go. Well, yeah, also people who are, older individuals, they take part of your programs as well too. We've kind of established the fact that, so much of what you've done has reached out and just sort of built the resume of what you have right now. There's one thing that sticks out to me too, and sometimes in life, I can think of myself, okay? I've always wanted to be a sportscaster, and I feel very, very fortunate and lucky, and I also worked for it too, to be doing what I wanted to do, and that stretches all the way back to high school. That's not the case for most people. And there's something on your resume that just kind of sticks out like a thumb to me, and that's working for Viacom, which is a giant media corporation in the United States. It touches with CBS. I think it's now Paramount at this point right now. And you're working for Black Entertainment TV, which, hey, when I was in my high school days, you're working for BETV, like, you're the man. Like, what was that role?
Yeah. So folks of our vintage would remember BT was, still is, but really was for me growing up in the 90s, that epicenter of culture and impact. And so a bit of a dream come true for me to have the opportunity to work there. That came about when I was doing my MBA at McMaster. Looking for internships in the U.S., knowing I wanted to take my career that route. In Washington, D. specifically, which used to be the headquarters of Black Entertainment Television. Took an unpaid internship there for 8 months, and that led to a paid opportunity the following summer in New York City, and that led to a full-time offer after graduating from McMaster, my MBA. I worked on the media sales side of things, so I was on the not kind of in the front-facing world that you are and thrive so well in, but I loved supporting the mission of empowering and spreading Black culture, and again just got to work with some really incredible people. Really set my foundation for my professional career. Under the umbrella of Viacom, and so got to work with alongside and with other brands like MTV, like VH1, Paramount, and CBS, which are all now under that Paramount Skydance umbrella.
I'm stargazing just thinking about this. I'll just make it easy. Who's the coolest person that you met?
Oh man, so. Again, I look at my life and talk about this reflection. Like I sometimes can't explain the variety of different occurrences and run-ins and people that I've met in my life. Been really, really fortunate. Many of them came through that experience with BET and Viacom. But if you're going to ask me for my coolest, and this is personal affinity, it didn't come through that. It really came through basketball, and that was the time I got to spend with President 44 Barack Obama.
Ooh.
So I'll tell that story quickly. So I had two head coaches at Brown University, the first 2 years with Glenn Miller, and then Craig Robinson was hired to replace him. Craig Robinson has a sister, Michelle Robinson, but better known as Michelle Obama. And so when Craig started working in 2000, I want to say 2006, at the time, Senator Barack Obama was a rising political star. And when Craig kind of visited me here in Hamilton on a bit of a recruiting trip, he recognized I had his book at the time, Dreams from My Father. And so that was a pretty cool talking point. And through Craig, I had a couple opportunities to meet him both on campus and when we played Northwestern in my junior year, and he and Michelle visited, watched the game, and were gracious enough to spend some time with us after the game. And then he went on that historical run to win the White House in 2008.
Was he as cool as he seems? Like, he seems like a dude. Like, I know he's a president and a dignitary and a great speaker and just so much that we admired over his 2 terms as president. But he's got this, I feel like, even when he's got he loves basketball, he just seems really cool.
Always the coolest guy in the room, right? Like, so I'll tell you a story. So the first time I met him, Craig facilitated President Obama, again, Senator Obama at the time, being on campus. It's one of the really cool things about an Ivy League school in Brown is having these incredible people come to the university and speak. And in the fall of my junior year, brought him to campus to speak. And he was in a packed auditorium and gave a great speech about the State of the Union, and then stayed around for a bit of a Q&A. And so I got invited with a couple other teammates of mine, and we were kind of sitting toward the back of the auditorium, sometimes like athletes do. And at the end, during the Q&A, somebody asked the question, knowing he's a basketball fan, and said, Senator Obama, you went to Harvard and Columbia, and your brother-in-law coaches at Brown. We know you love basketball, so who are you cheering for when basketball season comes around? And again, like the politician and quick on his feet, he gives a very, political answer. And he says, well, I bleed maroon. I went to Columbia, and blood's thicker than water, and I'm going to be cheering for Coach. But when's the first game? He looks at Craig, who's sitting in the first row. He's like, when's the first game this year? And Craig, knowing that Coach Robinson, knowing that I was there, he said, I don't know, which he did. You got to ask Keenan. Oh. And so, again, we're a small school. I'm in a junior year after having an all Ivy League season. So kind of, everyone in that school knows. So everyone turns and looks at me, and I slink down in my chair. I just get, I'm shy. I'm a 20-year-old kid. And he played that off and moved on, and he was smooth. And after, I got to walk down and introduce myself, and he said, Keenan. He said, where were you 15 minutes ago? So just like, again, always the coolest guy in the room.
Great story. That will stick with you forever, that memory, I am sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here you are at McMaster right now, and you've, again, as I said, there's been a couple of comebacks and some other roles, and the director of basketball operations, you did that, which must have been a great homecoming for you because you were so important and such a piece of that school in terms of playing basketball. And then there's housing and different things that you've done. But here you are, the big deal that you have put together now is being the director of athletics and recreation right now. You come into a time now where I feel like media's changing, schools changing, minds are changing, kids are changing. You've talked about that position of what it may have been like when you were going to school. How do you make it, I will use the word cool again, cool for kids now?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And so, when I look at my role, I mean, first and foremost is to be a champion for athletics and recreation, right? And to communicate that value to our leadership and to the institution and to the value that we bring to campus life, to how we support student athletes, and how we support the health and well-being of all our community members. First and foremost, my role is as a cheerleader, and I love doing that. Secondly, least kind of exciting is making sure that we have the resources, and our staff and our coaches have the resources that they need to be successful, and that's I think really where the business and finance background comes in. And the last is to be a community partner, right? Like we are, the Marauder brand is synonymous with the Hamilton community, and we are a massive community resource. And so a big focus for me to communicate to my staff is, in every major unit, every opportunity, how are we giving back? How are we showing our relevance to the community? And how are we, empowering the next crop of Marauders and McMaster community members?
I'm glad you brought this up earlier, because it is important to recognize that within the sports realm of what you are sort of the umbrella, there is like the varsity athletics, which I guess is the higher level, high performance sort of athletes that are looking to maybe turn professional. I'm just going to there's so many, and it would be unfair for me to name. I can't name every sport out there because I'm sure they're all your babies. But there was a change this year, most recently, that I think you probably had a lot to do with, was I think after 35 years, Teresa Burns is no longer the leader, the cheerleader, the head coach of the women's basketball program, which won a bronze baby.
That's right.
And you had to turn the page there and go looking for someone that you figured would have been a good fit to move on and move forward with the program. Was that difficult?
Yeah, I mean, it was. I would say it was difficult. It's bittersweet to say goodbye to Teresa. I mean, I told her, we spoke that she's not going too far, right? Like we're not letting her go away that far. But she had an incredible career. Nothing left undone, no regrets, and she was ready to turn the page. So at the same time, we were happy to support her in doing that. And then it becomes an opportunity, right, to find the next. There never will be another Teresa Burns, but the next great coach in McMaster history. And so, we're excited. We're going to celebrate Teresa on Saturday, 27th, on a game against U Saskatchewan. And so we're really excited about that. Teresa's legacy, I think nothing speaks more to Teresa's legacy than looking at the women's national championship last year and having 3 of the 4 semifinal head coaches coming directly from the Teresa Burns coaching tree. And I'm proud, and we're so grateful that we were able to attract one of those coaches in Isabelle Ormond as our new head coach. Mm-hmm. And Isabelle, again, a Teresa protege, a player for Teresa, had incredible success coaching UBC Thunderbirds the past 2 years, and a local Hamilton product, a Cathedral graduate, and we are just so excited to get her season kicked off, and to see where she'll take this and build upon an incredible program.
And she's playing Saskatchewan with Lisa Tomaitis as well. They're Dundas product as well too. The local people don't realize how good we are.
No,
right? like what is happening here? And that's why this podcast is so fun for me. It's endless. It's endless what's coming out of this area and continues. I mean, it was most recently as obviously the top of the level SGA, as we talked about at the top. It's just men, women. Teresa, Renata Foss, I had from the Toronto Scepters yesterday. It is amazing to me the depth of athletes and coaches and executives that are in this area that all started here, and that's a wonderful thing. Going back to, say, we talk about the varsity sports. But maybe even more impactful are your recreational programs, because as I presume, I wasn't that smart, but I can imagine school's a grind for a lot of athletes. They're concerned about their grades. As you said, some of them may be far away from home. Maybe some are looking to make friends amongst sports. As we all know, sports can bring people together. But these recreational programs and intramural programs got to be the backbone of what you're doing.
Yeah, Bubba, you're so right. I mean, just last week in Ottawa, the Future of Sport in Canada summit took place. Really an audit and evaluation of not only high performance sport in this country, but as well as the impact of recreation and healthy living on people's overall health and successful outcomes. And we have a unique position situated as athletics and recreation within the greatest research institution in Canada, and a great research institution focused on health and well-being, to be leaders in that space. And so, I'm grateful for the opportunity to contribute to that. And we have such great programs, so many great people, and world-class facilities. And one of the things that we are so proud of is our award-winning Pulse, which is the gym facility for our entire student and McMaster community. But we were nationally recognized for the architectural design of that space and the expansion that was completed just last year. So, there's so much to be proud of, and like you said, it is. If not the more impactful, is definitely the more wide-reaching aspect of what we do.
Sure. And I think it's important, and some people say these are buzzwords or whatever, but there is an importance on it. Men, women, Black, Asian, white, Indian, we could go on and on about the diversity. And I know this was a challenge for the school's program some time ago, and maybe caused some people to look at each other, maybe refocus, retool for modern day athletes and what our country has turned into. And of course, I would guess that a university, the cultural diversity would be unbelievable, but everyone is loved at McMaster.
Yeah. I think that is something I hold true to my heart and is important to me in the work that we do. We want to create inclusive spaces where people feel comfortable, feel a sense of belonging, and feel like they can really reach their greatest potential. And I think we push forward initiatives where we can, and we're so excited to. On Friday, September 26th, host our annual Truth and Reconciliation Games on men's and women's soccer. I won't share too much. I'll leave a little bit for surprise, but we've got some great events led by our Indigenous Student Athletes Council surrounding that game, including some custom jerseys that are going to be really special and just highlight the need for further dialogue and furthering the need for truth and reconciliation.
It's important, isn't it? Like, it's amazing to me that there was a time that, I won't say it wasn't important, but it wasn't recognized. And I'm glad we've reached a time and space in this world right now where we are recognizing our Indigenous community. We are recognizing every community that makes up, we'll just say, even the Golden Horseshoe, Hamilton in particular.
Yeah, you're so right. Yesterday I was fortunate to take part in a fantastic ceremony installing our newest president, Dr. Susan Tai, the 9th president in McMaster's history. And I'm so excited for that for so many reasons. We have what I believe is the greatest, the most supportive leadership tree for what we do in athletic and recreation with Dr. Susan Tai, with our provost, Maureen McDonald, and our dean of students, Sean Van Coonet. But one of the things that stood out to me in Dr. Tai's installation speech, she highlighted the and doubled down on the focus and need for this, further conversation around truth and reconciliation. So we in athletics want to play our role, and we really believe we are that bridge to community. We are the kind of the doorway for the community into the institution, and so we'll continue to do that, and especially with the Indigenous community. And like I said, from the highest levels of leadership in our university, it was stamped as a priority and something that we need to continue to build upon.
Everything you do, from telling a sports score to profiles on athletes to finding out about events, is done through the media. And I'm impressed at what you guys have done in terms of being out there in social media. I see so many fun little pieces on, say, Instagram. I saw one the other day trying to decipher if soup was food or a drink. Do you drink soup or do you eat soup? And I don't know. Anyone got answers there? Help me. But the social media aspect now has taken over in terms of reaching and touching students and other people that may be just curious about your sports programs.
Yeah. You know what? We have a great team. Like I said, everything that we do is based on having a really great group of people. One of the first things I did coming into this role was do a little bit of a needs assessment in the department. And I think one of the things that, that stood out to me right away is there's not a lot of more that we need to do. We need to do a better job of telling the stories of the things that we're already doing. And so some of our early reorganization investment came in this area of communication, marketing, and engagement, and that includes our community outreach, that includes our alumni outreach. But the pieces you're talking about are the most fun, and typically the most fun things that come out of a university come from students. And so a lot of those pieces are student-led, and so we've got a great full-time staff that really support the student vision, give them the creative agency to kind of run with these ideas, and we just kind of stand out of the way and let them be creative, amazing students.
Well, they're so fun, and I think some of them even get serious. Like, I mean, as you well know, the sports doc right now, they're hot. Everywhere you go, there's a sport. Ty-Cat's got a great one out there right now, Made in the Hammer.
Yeah,
but I look at one that was done for your volleyball teams last year. Just outstanding.
Yeah,
getting into the coaching and what's going on with the coaches and the players and the pain and the injuries and all the things that go into sports and all the things that make up a team, and all that's out there for people to watch, which I think is so cool.
Yeah, it's a great piece, and we've been able to partner with also some great production folks, and to help us with some of these really in-depth pieces. Yeah, I love them because it's a deeper look into what goes behind, championship season in our women's volleyball team. We're so proud to be defending Ontario champions, and to have a profile on them is a really cool piece. And we look ahead. We're trying to do this on a consistent basis, and give the community this kind of insight and access to our great student leaders and community role models.
So let me ask you this then. As I'm learning myself here about being a visionary and looking at goals long term and envisioning what you want in life, what do you want for this program right now when you look long term? I mean, who knows what may come your way 5 years from now, other opportunities or whatever. But as it stands right now, when you look at this program and your role at McMaster University, what do you want to happen?
Yeah, it's a great question. And so, I'll answer it two ways. First and foremost, our experience, our experience for our anyone who comes through our door, our participants, our student athletes, is paramount. So we want to ensure that people come into our space, have a sense of belonging, comfort. They're in an environment that allows them to reach their highest potential. winning is important, part of that, especially for our student athletes. So we want to supply them with the resources they need, the best coaching they can have, the best facilities, and the best administrative support. The other thing I would say in terms of leadership and vision, I really try to take a collaborative approach to that. And so, I have my ideas, my vision, but I want that to be informed by the key stakeholders. And so we've done a couple really important things. We're in the process of building a 5-year strategic plan with a ton of consultation from all parts of our community. And we've also announced a Directors Advisory Council. And I'm so proud of the group. We have 8 members from the local and McMaster community with incredible resumes. Their bios are on the website, so I won't go through them all, but I'll highlight a couple notables. Sure. Colonel Ron Foxcroft, legend in this community, in his philanthropy and sport and business achievements. So grateful to have his time in his busy schedule to help with that vision and direction of where we're trying to take this thing. And then another legend in her own right, Therese Quigley, longtime McMaster athletic director. Yeah, just a fantastic leader in sport in this country. And again, just incredibly grateful to have her wisdom and advice and feedback as we try to build this thing. Because again, I think it takes a village. And so, I really want to take that collaborative approach when thinking about where are we going in the future.
One last thing here I want to bring up to you, because, and I think you probably really understand this, maybe even more than me. I only understand because I spent a lot of my youth at one time going to different universities and colleges to go watch sporting events. And there is one thing I will always remember, and again, because you attended Brown University, you can speak to this probably better than I can, but I think it's so important. One of the biggest questions we have out here generally in sports is, why can't the OUA be as big as the ACC, right? Well, there's a zillion ways to answer that question, but the one thing that stands out to me more than anything else that I've learned about going to some of these American institutions is the giving back. Alumni. It matters that you went to TCU. It matters that you went to Notre Dame. How do we make it matter for people who've moved on in their lives to say, like you said there, I went to McMaster? How do you make that important? Because I think that is such a key to the development of programs in the schools and why some of these American schools are so big. And we're kind of struggling here. We're trying to play catch up here in Canada.
Yeah, I think the way I approach a lot of things, it's around community building, right? It's around showing our alumni, our sport alumni love, showing them, reaching out to them, keeping them informed of what we're doing, what's going on with the teams that they competed for, and inviting them back. So like I said, we invested in resources and having some in-house alumni relations to really try to build that, and focusing on events like we are hosting our this Sunday, I believe, is our men's and women's soccer alumni game, and that's really great because this fall we will host the national championship for women's soccer in this country, and so bringing the alumni back and getting them excited about that, to watch our women's soccer team compete at the highest level and see some of the highest level soccer played in this country right in our own backyard. Those are the kind of efforts and initiatives that build upon each other and start to bring that community, to make events like this Saturday homecoming matter, right? And have everyone come back. We've got a big football game on Saturday, and we're excited about that. But that alumni connection is what we want everyone to come back on weekends like this weekend.
In the past, I did radio for McMaster football games and was lucky to be the play-by-play guy for your Yates Cup victory. And to see the alumni that day, and because we beat Western, Greg Marshall.
19. Huh? It's 2019.
2019. Yeah, Greg Marshall, you went down. It was beautiful. And to see all the alumni there celebrating with the kids who won that day. I mean, they were just naturally happy because they won. But then you see some of the alumni, and especially some of those teams that got beat up pretty bad by Western. And to see how happy they were, it just charged me up. And I thought, what a great day this is. And, and the fact that they went to go on and perhaps get to a Vanier Cup as well, too, which you guys have done even further back here. Everything we do in life requires some type of support. Or someone to give us that lift sometimes when we don't need it. And we have some pictures of some people here that, I don't know, I'm presuming they mean a lot to you. Can you tell me what these people mean to you?
Oh, man, that's my little guy.
Cute little kid.
And my girl is my beautiful wife and daughter.
Merry Christmas.
My wife is a big Christmas person. Like, she's reminding me already that Christmas party's coming up, and that Christmas she's got a countdown going already. But you can tell that's my team.
Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful team. Beautiful team you got. And like I said, when I saw your 40th birthday, I thought, wow, what a great, and looking through the pictures and saying, wow, man, you're living a beautiful life. And I look at what you've done and what you've talked about here on the Sportsline podcast, and seeing, I think Mac are going places. And you're the guy. You're the man with the plan, my man. And we look forward to what, as I said, and that's why I asked you about the future. And we look forward to the future of what's going on at McMaster, because like I said, you're the guy with the plan, and we really look forward to it. So thank you for joining us on the Sportsline podcast and letting us know about what's going on with Mac and why you're such an important part of it.
I appreciate you, my guy, and I appreciate all the work you do celebrating sports in Hamilton. It's it's important, and we need more of it.
Thank you so much, my partner.
My guy.
All right. That's the Sportsline podcast for the day. And if you've just seen and heard, we love talking sports. If you do know of an athlete, team, or event to promote, the Sportsline podcast do want to hear from you. Please hit that thumbs up, like, and subscribe button. And if you have something to say, we always appreciate your comments for the outstanding people that make the Sportsline podcast possible. Thank you so very much. And we'll see you very soon.